The Ballad of the Man Who Could See. A compacted story of a Sokan adventure starting in 2018 to 2023. The story of Rovan is a complicated analysis of the human mind, built upon the complex understanding of the fundamental concepts of the supernatural realm of the Force. To see, to feel, to hear, to know is the manuscript thereby Rovan writes his doctrinal language, fully embodying the nature of what it means to sense the Force. He is a master of manipulation and deadly with his skill over Shatterpoint. An ability in the wrong hands would wreak havoc across the galaxy. Nothing would stop his reign of terror, should he call upon the dark side of the Force. But he has no desire for this. Once upon a time, this cryptic and dying old man held dreams of fun and adventure, gallivanting across the galaxy in search of treasure and secrets. But alas, his desires did not come to fruition as he let his dreams go to rest, as he took responsibility, serving as a Jedi Master turned Seeker of Ashla. His utmost desire, that which was once bloodshed, is now love. He is the man who could see and peer into the darkness of the void, learning the unknown, now only sought peace and love, joy and happiness. This is the ultimate tragedy for Rovan, for he will surely die so that his people, the Seekers of Ashla, may know what it is to love and be loved. Chapter 1. The Exile of a Jedi. Long ago, there were two Padawans, Riain Lanau and Emmeline Ewan. Their forbidden love quickly begat a young Ekani boy, Alec, who carried the name of Ewan as the Padawans were not wedded. This forbidden love was quickly executed and silenced as the mother of the boy was sent into the Jedi Service Corps. The father was exiled and sought another path, a path of broken chains. Eventually, Alec was taken into the Sokan Enclave by a Jedi Knight by the name of Yoshimiru at the age of 13 years old. Alec looked up to the Knight, but he was not to be his master, as Alec clearly formed an attachment to the powerful warrior, like a hero figure. Instead, as assigned by a member of the Jedi Council, to the Jedi Knight Dane Aha, a loudmouth Zeltron woman who had a history of being a loudmouth and hot-headed warrior. Alec quickly saved her temper, and the two began to form a bond in the Force. A few years went by as Alec soon began to near his Jedi Knight trials, but tragedy struck. His master was slain in battle by a mysterious Lord of the Sith, Darth Rovan. Angered by this revelation, Alec appealed to the same counselors that assigned him to his master. Yet they did not deem it necessary to make a statement against this mysterious Darth, as Dane Aha was killed in the territory of wild space. It was too dangerous to chase rumors. And in a tantrum of rage, throwing tables and shouting unsavory chants, Alec quickly turned himself away from these things, and in a silent act he laid down his blade and walked away. He had gone too close to the edge of the dark side. A dark Jedi he soon was, and he feared too greatly of becoming such a monster. He left the Temple of Kamaas, much to the disapproval of the Council, and went away into exile. Chapter 2. The Lost Years. During the next few years, Alec's mother passed away without his knowledge. The mother he never knew passed away. Kneeling by her graveside, he grieved of a life he'd never know, shouting in the rain of his doubts and griefs. He departed from the wilds of Kamaas and went out in a pursuit of life and adventure. Traveling to Coruscant, Onderon, Dantooine, and eventually to Alderaan, where he'd meet a young woman roughly the same age as him. The pair quickly became close friends, trusted confidants, but in a quick exchange of events, Alec learned this fierce woman he had met was soon to be wed against her will to a rich businessman on Alderaan who supplied riches to the noble house she came from. Mifana was her name. Tall, fierce, and beautiful. In the initial months Alex spent with her, they shared few moments of intimacy, nothing more than kind gestures, but enough to entertain the thought of true love. Their friendship grew and swelled, but she at one last bid kissed the man who she deemed her beloved. Yet this love was forbidden, as she was to be wed to a man she herself did not love. In a quick action, Alec learned the rules of honor by combat and challenged the businessman for Mifana's hand at marriage. Unable to back down, the businessman was locked into combat with Alec. Alec, being a former Sokan Padawan, made quick work of the short and pudgy mogul, leaving him to lick his wounds as an observer to a wedding ceremony between two who understood what it meant to love one another. A year and a half went by, and the happy couple, who flew across the galaxy in their own dynamic class freighter they named the Starhawk, had twins, Victoria and Aaron Ewan. Life was good for the life they could share, until one day a mysterious vessel took hold of the Starhawk. It was the mysterious Darth Rovan. Unable to match this powerful dark warrior, Alec was forced to watch as Rovan ignited his blade in Mifana's stomach. Her dying breath breathed.
My beloved, this short life hast been the sweetest treasure. Rest and remember, I shall always love thee, my beloved.
Rovan took the two children with him, leaving nothing but the heavy footsteps as a resounding reminder in the ears of the self-exiled Padawan. Chapter 3, Master and Apprentice. Not long after, Alec, with nothing else to turn to, returned to the Sokan Enclave, who accepted him with open arms, even returning the lightsaber we left at the feet of the Council. Even though he was 24 years old, he was still accepted as a Padawan and was put under the apprenticeship of Eorik, the prized student of one of the legendary heroes of Kamas, though at this time they were still only a council member. The hero trusting both Eorik and Alec to look after one another and learn from one another. Eventually a year passed as Eorik took his Padawan, Alec to his trials. The brothers tackled adventure after adventure until one day they came across the same mysterious Darth Rovan. Rovan revealed himself to be Rien, Alec's father, and Alec's children were proven to be alive but lost to ever be found by him. Locked in a heated battle, the brothers took down Darth Rovan. In his dying moments, Alec held his father's head as he lay dying. "I forgive you," he spoke in a broken voice. Rien's eyes in that moment turned from a bleeding red into their natural white. He raised his left brow. "How could you? Don't you know what I've done for the sake of revenge? Don't you know how much death I've caused? It was I who killed your wife." Alec shook his head. "I have not forgotten, Father, but I've grown beyond it. I will never forget, but I love you in the life I never got to live. I forgive you." Rien wept as he looked on to his son's side as if he could see something. In a final word he spoke. "Emmeline." Chapter 4, Rovan. After the passing of his father, Alec then took on a new name, Rovan. Rovan chose to pass on his old life, remembering the man who he used to be and learning about the man who he will be. He chose to take the name of an evil and vile destroyer and turn it into a name that has new meaning. A name of one who would sacrifice and forgive, die and save. In the coming years, Rovan would watch the galaxy unfold before his eyes. He began to grow old, as did those around him. He saw Valerie Noble become the battle master, Lokal become Master Sentinel. He watches as his Padawans, Yurikiro, Wigos Jason, Simeon, and many others grow to become wise beyond their years. He watched as the Eternal Empire rose and fell. He was there as Kamas was destroyed and turned to slag. A life of adventure was lived indeed. One day Rovan met a young woman who called herself Anna. She had long red hair and white eyes like that of a Nekani. She was tall, fierce, and beautiful. It reminded him much of someone else. The two became good friends. Rovan quickly became the father she never had. She became the daughter Rovan wished he had met. In the next couple years, she was eventually married to a Republic soldier, and they moved away to Coruscant. Their conversations grew less and less. Life was busy, and eventually trouble came. She told her adoptive father that she had grown ill. A mysterious plague had riddled her body from an unknown source. It was not clear what the disease was, but it was clear that the disease was malignant and it was killing her fast. Rovan immediately left from the Outer Rim towards Coruscant. But it was too late. She had already been dead and buried for 2 days before he could make it. The doctors and scientists studying the disease in her body discovered it was created by an alchemical means, rumored by a Sith. It was a genetically altered cell passed down by generations. One individual died in a cross-reference experiment and was found in the Jedi records of a Jedi Service Corps member by the name of Emmeline Ewan. The two were related. This revelation showed that Anna was really and truly Victoria. But this was too late. Rovan could not share the news as he mulled over everything in a depressed manner. Rovan received a vaccine for his benign cells inflicted by the genetic disease. He brought his findings to the Jedi High Council, who shut down his plans because he was too invested in solving it. Eventually, it was solved by another group of Jedi in a strike team, but it was now the final straw for Rovan. He packed a saber and walked away with nothing but the clothes on his back, and left for his second exile, as he knew that somewhere out there was his son, who would most likely be around 40 years old at this time. His dream and desire now was to one day live the life he never could. Chapter 5. The Oracle. In the first few days of his exile, the Force opened itself up to Rovan, and a vision fell on him. He saw Mirrmaker, perhaps one of the only few who truly matched Rovan in crypticism and mystery, on the world of Elphrona. After he, Idrin, Mirrmaker, and the abbot that predated Camdenale settled an issue with the mayor of a mining colony on Elphrona. Rovan was named the Oracle of Ashla by Mirrmaker, and they established a new refuge for servants of the light. And the rest is history. His is now living the life he had always dreamed,